Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. There have been moments in our One Piece story where Straw Hats left the crew and then returned sometime later, and Sanji was one of those members. And his leaving was probably one of the saddest moments in the entire story of One Piece, but it was very important for the development of an incredible arc of battles as well as revelations of information. So today's video, we're going to talk about the events that occurred where Sanji had to abandon the Straw Hat crew, then why he left his companions, and how Sanji finally returned to his chosen family, the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates. Before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, this story begins during the Zoar, where Sanji and Nami saw Peckham's and Capone Beige arrive on the island and then interact with the Minks. Caesar begged Sanji to protect him from the Big Mom pirates again, but Sanji said that they didn't need him anymore and asked why Big Mom wanted him anyway. After listening to Caesar's explanation, Sanji told him that he deserved what was coming to him. However, Sanji also realized that they too had big problems with Big Mom and decided to have him and Brook talk to Beige and Peckham's. The two groups met in the forest, and Peckham started by thanking Sanji for saving his people. The Minks then revealed that they had had orders to capture Caesar, as well as doing something that could potentially destroy the Straw Hats. But they told Sanji that they would reward them by leaving the crew intact as long as they were allowed to catch Caesar. However, Capone Beige shot Peckham's and then captured Sanji and Caesar's group, taking them inside his fortress body. And inside, he presented Sanji with an invitation to Big Mom's tea party, where he was arranged to marry the 35th daughter of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Pudding. At first, Sanji refused to attend the wedding, but Beige threatened him and his crewmates with physical force. Beige's subordinate Vito then told Sanji the information that ended up shocking our Straw Hat cook. Sanji then asked for a pen and paper and gave his crewmates a note explaining his whereabouts to be given to the rest of the crew when they arrived. He apologized to his team, explaining that it was not his intention to hide things from them. Next, sensing Nekomamushi was nearby and choosing to solve the marriage problem himself, he threw Nami, Chopper, and Brook out of Beige's body. And Sanji prevented Beige's men from going after his crewmates by holding Caesar at gunpoint, knowing that he and Caesar were too vital and important to harm. After Beige realized that Nekomamushi was standing behind him, Nami, Chopper, and Brook begged Sanji to stay with them, and Sanji promised that he would come back. So with the Ocean Kingdom of German docked in at Whole Cake Island, Sanji returned home and was reunited with his family for the first time since he left them 13 years ago. And he had a hostile reunion with his younger brother, Vinspoke Yonji, who was trying to scold him for refusing to go through the arranged marriage plans. Sanji then overpowered Yonji in a fight, breaking Yonji's face in the process. Later on, Sanji spoke with his older sister, Vinspoke Reiju, in the Germa Kingdom's royal castle. Now, Reiju tried to convince Sanji to accept his royal heritage, saying that he would have power, wealth, luxury, and loyal soldiers at his disposal. However, when Sanji reiterated his break with the family and continued refusing to go through with the marriage, Reiju commented that he might like his bride. And at that moment, his father, Vinspoke Judge, arrived to speak with Sanji, who coldly greeted him and refused to acknowledge him as his father. After briefly talking about Yonji, Judge challenged Sanji to settle their fight with physical force. Once they got back to Germa Castle, Judge spoke to Sanji while he was being treated by Reiju, and while Sanji was distracted by Judge's comments, Judge had Reiju handcuff Sanji with explosive bracelets, whose keys were in Big Mom's possession. Judge then threatened Sanji's most prized possessions, and in this case, it's his hands. And this was to ensure his compliance with the upcoming wedding. Sanji tried to remove the bracelets, only for Reiju to stop him as a warning alarm went off. Sometime later, Sanji was then taken to Whole Cake Chateau to exchange gifts with Big Mom, and the soldiers of Germa 66 applauded Sanji as the Vinspoke family boarded a carriage drawn by a large cat. While on the way to Whole Cake Chateau, Luffy and Nami caught up with the carriage. Luffy jumped in the carriage and asked Sanji to return to the crew. Now, remembering Judge's warnings, Sanji kicked Luffy out and coldly told him to leave. But Luffy refused to listen, and Yonji was about to fight him, but Sanji stopped his brother and offered to deal with Luffy. What transpired next was one of the saddest events probably ever in One Piece, where Sanji started to strike several hits at Luffy in an attempt to make him give up the idea of saving him, while Luffy refused to fight Sanji. And after leaving Luffy badly injured, Sanji returned to the carriage, as Luffy says that without Sanji, he could never, ever be king of the pirates. Then, as the Vinspoke carriage approached Big Mom's castle, Sanji witnessed an army heading towards Luffy and Nami's location. And after arriving at the castle, the Vinsmoke family, Pudding, and Big Mom had a meal together. During the meal, Pudding asked Sanji to speak with her privately, and while in Pudding's room, Pudding apologized to Sanji for not bringing him to Luffy as she had originally planned. However, seeing no way to escape without endangering his hands and also those dear to him, Sanji explained to Pudding that his intention was to ask Big Mom to let his friends go in exchange for him not running away. After that moment, Sanji then tried to think positive thoughts and act cheerful as usual. He then went out to get some flowers, and later he got some food to prepare a meal for Pudding, who had not eaten lunch. As soon as Sanji finished preparing the bento for Pudding, he went to her room, but the door wouldn't let him in. So he peeked through the window and saw Reiju in Pudding's room, and overhears Pudding as she shows her more sinister side, declaring Big Mom's plan to take the lives of the entire Vinsmoke family during the wedding. Sanji stood outside in the rain in shocked silence, and as Pudding continued to insult Sanji in front of Reiju, Sanji stayed quiet and shed a tear as he tried to light a cigarette. Sanji later left the balcony while Pudding altered Reiju's memories. A little while after this scene, Sanji went to the infirmary, and after subduing and tying up the guard, he spoke to Reiju when she regained her consciousness. He told her about what had happened between her and Pudding, and she accepted his explanation. Much to Sanji's shock, she proceeded to tell him that they should act like they didn't know anything and allow Big Mom's plan to happen during the tea party. When Sanji then looked at the bento box that he had made for Pudding, he remembered that he had made his crewmates' favorite foods, and quickly grabbed the bento box and ran as the guards were coming to his location. After leaving the castle, Sanji traveled through Sweet City with the bento box and brushed aside a dog along the way. When he eventually reached the spot where Luffy had promised to wait for him, Sanji found Luffy after hearing his stomach rumble. Luffy awoke when he smelled the bento box that Sanji had been carrying. Sanji gave him the box, and Luffy happily ate the food. Luffy then once again asked Sanji to rejoin the crew, and Sanji then explained the reasons why he couldn't. Luffy responded by punching Sanji and demanded that he tell the truth. So Sanji bursts into tears, saying that he wanted to return the crew, but he couldn't let his family lose their lives. So Luffy then gave Sanji his support, saying that together they would ruin the wedding. Fast forward to the moment of the wedding. As Sanji and Pudding approached the altar, which was on top of a giant wedding cake, they exchanged their vows. And when Sanji lifted Pudding's veil to perform the kiss, Pudding showed her third eye. But Sanji noted that her eye was beautiful, causing Pudding to start crying as Sanji tried to calm her down. The priest then prepared to take Sanji's life just as he was expected to on Big Mom's orders. Knowing that Sanji could dodge the shot, Katakuri tried to take the cook's life himself by throwing a jelly bean at him. However, Sanji dodged the shot and hit the priest. Next, dozens of duplicates of Luffy came emerging out of the wedding cake, so Sanji grabbed Pudding and jumped off the altar as the cake collapsed. Once they landed, however, Pudding began furiously trying to shoot Sanji, who had dodged all the shots she fired. Pudding revealed that she had deceived countless people the same way she had deceived Sanji, but then she cried when Sanji asked her if she herself was one of those people. Her brother Daifuku then intervened, summoning a genie and slapping Pudding for failing on her task before attacking Sanji with his genie. Following the whole scuffle and desires for wedding cake as Big Mom went on a rampage, Sanji was finally able to make Pudding start to like him more and more, and may have actually forged a real alliance and potential relationship with Pudding. And after all this, and learning and seeing the greatness of Sanji, and truly feeling kindness for the first time from another person, Pudding might have actually changed, and Sanji finally was able to return to his crew, vowing never to abandon them ever again. And that, my friends, is the story of why Sanji left the Straw Hats. And now, we'd love to know what you think about it. First off, do you think that there's a chance in the future that Sanji and Pudding might actually come together? We've had some different videos on the channel talking about the fact that Katakuri and the Straw Hats could end up teaming up, because right now, Pudding is in the care of Teach because he wants to use her three-eyed powers to read the poneglyphs. Do you think that this kind of rescue could fully turn Pudding into somebody who really could truly love Sanji? Next, what do you think would have happened if Sanji had decided to stay with Germa 66? Do you think they would have made it out alive? I mean, the cover story, after all of the aftermath of the wedding cake and everything that happened on Whole Cake, it shows that Germa 66 somehow made it out alive and now is making some kind of plans with Caesar Clown. So do you think Sanji would have gone along, or would he have just been collateral damage? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.